British polls for general elections. You will have a polling station in your area. Your polling station will be written on your poll card, which you will get in the post. You don't need to take it with you to vote. But it's helpful because it tells you where to go to vote. You go to the polling station, you give them your postcode, house number and name was what they needed off me. It'd be the same for most people, enough to verify that you're on the voting list, and they cross you off and they hand you a ballot paper. It is always a paper. We do not have electronic voting. You will be handed a ballot paper. You will take this paper to a little booth. It's a little standing desk with little walls above head height in front and to the side, but not behind. It's not a separate sort of room. It's just a little enclosed space. There will be a pencil tied to a string tied to the voting booth, but you are allowed to take your own pen or pencil with you. They just provide one because that way everyone can in fact mark their ballot. You should mark an X in the box next to the name of your preferred candidate. The candidates will be listed by name and by political party, and they will have the logo of their political party next to their name as well, so it's really clear who you're voting for and who they stand for. You take your marked ballot paper, on which you should mark nothing else, and you should definitely not write your name. If you put anything other than one X in one box, anything that can make it ambiguous or could be used to identify you, you have spoiled your ballot. You are entitled to do this. It still counts as having voted. I would rather you did not. I think it is less helpful than voting. I don't think there's really any advantage to spoiling your ballot in protest. The logic there is different in places that have compulsory voting, but we don't. Don't turn up to vote and then spoil your ballot. Put an X in one of the boxes. Fold your ballot paper in half. Conveniently, it will have come to you pre-folded. Fold it up again. Take it, leave the pencil behind, and put the folded paper in the ballot box. The ballot box is basically a plastic crate. It's a plastic box. It almost looks like the ones you'd use to move house. But it's sealed shut and it has a slit in the top like a money box, and you put your paper in through the slit. And as the ballot boxes fill up, they are swapped out for empty ballot boxes. There'll be a little store of them in your polling station. The polls will close at 10 p.m. They will have opened at 7 a.m, so most people have time to vote either before they go to work in the morning or after they leave work in the evening. I always vote after because I'm not getting up early, but I also start work at 8:30, and if I started at noon, I'd vote before. If you can't vote in that window, go and register for a postal ballot. At 10 p.m, doors of the polling station are closed. All the ballot boxes are then moved to, I don't know what they call it, but it's basically the counting house for that constituency. And they are opened, and the paper ballots inside are counted by hand. There is nothing electronic about British elections. There are no machines and no electronic counting. The ballots are taken out, and the election volunteers sit at a table all night, and they divvy up the votes into piles, and the piles get counted and added up. And eventually, usually, sometime in the early hours of the morning, sort of 4 to 6 a.m, you get a lot of results in. All the votes for a constituency will have been counted. And the result is then taken to, oh my god, I've forgotten the name. The returning officer. Oh good, I haven't forgotten the name. The count is taken to the returning officer. The returning officer gathers the candidates who will be there for the counting, or at least turn up towards the end, because they have to be there for the potentially becoming an MP bit. The returning officer takes a piece of paper and stands by a microphone, and she reads out a very fixed set of words. The votes cast in this constituency were X for party A, Y for party B, Z for Party C, and the MP for this constituency by name is therefore candidate B. It's a sufficiently fixed form of words that people tend to start cheering halfway through when the numbers prove that somebody must have won. The returning officer will continue to the end of the script, and the script goes on for as long as there are still candidates. If you have 15 candidates, every candidate gets listed in the thing. The huge difference between this and an American election is there is no such thing as a running total, and there is no such thing as calling a constituency before every single vote has been counted. It doesn't happen. The returning officer announcing the result is the first official number you will get and the only one you need. You don't get running totals. You will get speculation from people who are present. They are literally speculating based on the size of the piles they can see in front of the volunteers who are counting. And the general mood in the air. They have nothing official to give. The returning officer calls the election when the election is finished. And then you have an MP. It can take, I think, up to 2 days or something for all the results to come back in because of one or two very remote constituencies where if you have to helicopter your ballot boxes through a storm to get them to the place where you're going to count them, it's going to take you longer to finish. Plus, if you're not Newcastle or Sunderland, you're probably not actually racing to be first. They race, it's kind of adorable. And the reason they can meaningfully race is that they have all the votes in one place and they're counting them, and whoever gets the number to the returning officer first wins.